Can I?
Hello, my name is Becky Norwood. This is Jody Barrett, and we're celebrating today because this is the book launch day for Sacred Hearts Rising. And we're so excited because Jody is one of the co-authors in the book. And we wanted to talk about the book, what it means to you that you shared your story in a chapter. I can say that she's the CEO of 3 amazingly cool kids, which is awesome. Connor, Mira, and Ava, and kettlebell kickboxing in Canada. How awesome. What is kettlebell?
Kettlebell? So it's like a weighted, round piece of equipment with a handle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is it like a hard plastic, or what is it? Or is it rubber?
No, it'll either be like a cast iron or a steel, a metal.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So her bio says, after 13 years of being a stay-at-home mom, Jody found kettlebell kickboxing. That journey took her to compete her. My goodness, I'm not even getting this right. I am so sorry. That journey took her to complete her KBIA master level and NKC certifications. Jody teaches classes and certifies trainers across Canada. How awesome. After her divorce, she has been on a journey about self-discovery while guiding her children and building a company across Canada. Life is about the journey, not the end result, embracing the challenges and the beauty along the way. How awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Jody, so you wrote a chapter in this book, Sacred Hearts Rising, Sparks of Light. What did that mean for you to write it? How did it affect you? What was your process of writing?
Actually, when I first started, when they reached out to me if I wanted to share my story, and I was pretty humble because I was like, I'd always kind of been, I've written most of it before they even got a hold of me because it was something I wanted to maybe share one day. I just didn't know the avenue, and then that kind of just came about. So that was quite unique for me too. I think the process, like I always think about it, I've been busy with so much with my company that it's been nice these last couple of days to actually sit down and think about the journey of it all again. When I started writing it, I remember I kind of like to go to like a coffee shop and sit and write so I'd get out of my own space in my house. And I remember the first time I did it, I'd leave the coffee shop because I broke down in tears. I'm writing and I'm like, okay, maybe I should write this somewhere a little bit more private. So I think it was funny because every time I read it, because you would reread it, you would have all of these emotions that would come along with it. And actually, it's funny because I sit here and I think about it and I feel that they kind of come back again.
Well, it's real, and I've written a story like that too. And what I've found is that the whole process is really quite healing.
Yeah.
It really makes it, when you have to put it down, actually write the words and think your way through it to write in a way that would make sense for anybody that's listening. Wow, that's huge. Mm-hmm. And I think writing is an excellent tool for healing, because it puts a lot in perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So how do you feel it's affected you both as a mom raising your kids and as a business owner, just for life in general?
Well, it's taught me so much. And still to this day, I always might laugh because my middle one, when we go to the chapters of the bookstore and she'd be like, I'd go over to the self-help section and she's like, Mom, are you ever going to get out of that section? And I said to her, I'm like, you know what? I said, no. I said, I think if the day ever comes where I think I don't need to spend time working on myself, I said, I think that's truly when I need something bigger to take place. So it's really been, it's about the journey. It's funny how it's entwined in with my business, because I remember when I launched my business, I was all excited about this big launch date. And when the day it came and it went, and I actually kind of felt sad because I was like, wasn't really what I thought it was. And then I processed and I went back and I was like, oh, it was about everything that led up to it and everything after.
Well, I think a book launch and writing the book and all of these, or even writing a chapter in a book, it's all kind of a process that it's like a wedding, it's like a funeral, it's like a graduation. The day, there's so much time and effort that goes into that day, and then when it's all over, you're like, what happened? You went too fast. All that work for what?
And I think not to lessen that any bit, because it's still important.
It's very important.
I think like my middle one, she's to graduate this year, and she won't have that because of all that's going on. And like I said to her, I said, I can relate and understand. I said, but there'll become a time in your life when you can understand it wasn't about that end date, and it was more about the journey of it.
That's so true. And we're living in some really different times right now, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what I find fascinating about that is it's the whole world. It's not just our own little spot in the world. It's everywhere. We're all affected. And I really don't think our world's ever going to be the same.
We'll just learn, adjust, right?
Yeah. So as in the way that you show up as a person now, after having time to kind of process this whole thing, how do you think it's changed you?
It's really allowed me to, I think, embrace the struggles I've had and have, basically, in, not looking at things so negatively, because I know, like, even some of the things, that I went through in that time period and, throughout childhood, I think you just pull the strength from it because it builds who you are. I often I always say to my kids, I'm like, when they have something hard, I'm like, can you imagine? I said, if everyone walked through life easy, I'm like, I said, these are those moments that build your character. Instead of sitting there and going, because when I went through my divorce, my kids spent years of like, oh, this was the most traumatizing thing that ever happened to them. I'm not them, so I can't share that side, obviously. But I always would sit with them and I go, there's positives there too, right? Like, you just have to find them. And even if the positive is at the end of the day, I am who I am because of my journey. Right.
And you're a better mom as a result because you've allowed yourself to grow with it. You've allowed yourself to make the changes that you've needed to, and those trials make us strong. Not that we like to go through those things, but but it's part of the journey. Yeah. And you're right. You have to dig in deep, and you find, I think most of us learn who we truly are. But it's also a journey because it's day at a time, and there's triggers. There's things that come up that kind of slap us right back in the face and say, okay, pay attention.
Yes. And then you do stuff again and you're like, oh, why did I do that? I had even something a couple weeks ago when everything was going on. I had a trigger, and I was like, before I dealt with it, I sat down with a piece of paper and I wrote a couple things about myself that I believed in, who I am. And I'm like, I just sat it there because I had to make the phone call and take care of some things. And I was like, okay.
Were you ever taught that as a child to do those things?
No.
See, and what you can impart to your own children now is, that this is a good way to process through these things and really be self-aware at a much younger age than we were when we became self-aware, So they should be so proud of their mama that you've taken, that you are the person that you are, and that you've been there for them and guided them through things that maybe they would have a lot tougher journey if they didn't have you to be the rock behind them.
Right.
Awesome. So for those that are listening, the book launch is today. It is super exciting. And normally I have a book in hand, but it didn't get here in time. The shipping is too slow. But it's Sacred Hearts Rising, Sparks of Life. And you'll see the links. In fact, I should have posted it here, but it will be in the Facebook group for Sacred Hearts Rising and in my Facebook groups as well. and be sure and pick up a copy. The Kindle version is only 99 cents, and the print version I think is about $14. So be sure and pick up a copy for, to read this fabulous book. And Jody, thank you for being so much a part of this, and keep shining your light.
Thank you for having me.
All right. You have an awesome day. And if you have any questions, reach out to me.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.